I'm James Bennett, and for the past 23 years, my life has revolved around two things: my son Ethan and my bookstore. It's not much, a small shop nestled on Main Street in Fairfield, Connecticut, but it's ours. The smell of old paperbacks and freshly brewed coffee fills the air every morning, and the locals know they can count on me for recommendations or just a friendly chat. Raising Ethan alone after his mom passed wasn't easy, but we made it work. He's always been my pride and joy, even if he sometimes jokes that I'm too old school for him. But lately, something feels off. Ever since Claire came into the picture, Ethan seems different. Not distant exactly, but quieter, like he's walking on eggshells. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Or maybe I'm just scared of losing him. Claire Harper is everything I'm not. Young, polished, ambitious. She walks into my store one rainy afternoon, her heels clicking against the wooden floor as she browses through the shelves. Ethan introduces her to me with this goofy grin on his face, and I try to be polite. She's beautiful, sure, but there's something about her that rubs me the wrong way. Maybe it's how she dismisses my suggestion for a classic novel. Who reads Steinbeck anymore? Or the way she glances at her phone while Ethan talks about his dreams of becoming an architect. Still, I tell myself not to judge her too quickly. After all, Ethan deserves happiness. But deep down, I can't shake the feeling that she doesn't see him the way I do, as someone worth cherishing. It happens during dinner at our house. A simple meal of spaghetti and garlic bread. Claire makes some offhand comment about how Ethan spends too much time cooped up here instead of focusing on his career. At first, I laugh it off, thinking she's joking. But when I glance at Ethan, I notice his jaw tighten. He mutters something about how running a bookstore isn't exactly glamorous, and I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Is that what he really thinks? That my life's work is somehow less valuable because it doesn't come with a six-figure salary? Claire smirks, satisfied with herself, and I bite my tongue. For Ethan's sake, I remind myself. But that night, lying awake in bed, I wonder if I've already lost him. Dad, I won't be able to help you with the attic this weekend, Ethan says, avoiding eye contact. Claire wants me to go to Boston with her for a conference. My chest tightens. We planned this project together for weeks, going through boxes of old photos, fixing up the space so Ethan could use it as a studio for his sketches. Can't you reschedule? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. He shakes his head. She's been looking forward to it for months. I want to argue, to tell him that relationships are supposed to involve compromise, not ultimatums. But I don't. Instead, I force a smile and say, well, have fun then. Later that evening, I sit alone in the attic, surrounded by dusty memories, wondering when my boys stopped choosing me. I hear them arguing before I even step inside the house. Their voices carry through the thin walls, sharp and heated. Claire's words cut through the air like glass. You need to choose, Ethan, me or your dad. My heart stops. I freeze in the doorway, gripping the doorknob so tightly my knuckles turn white. Ethan looks torn, his eyes darting between us. I want to intervene to defend myself, but I stay silent. This isn't my fight. It's his choice to make. When Claire storms out, slamming the door behind her, Ethan sinks onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I kneel beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to decide anything tonight, I say softly, but I know the damage is done. Her words have planted a seed of doubt in his mind, one I may never be able to uproot. I thought giving Ethan space would help him see Claire for who she really is. Instead, it drives him further away. Days turn into weeks, and my calls go unanswered. His visits to the bookstore become rare, and when he does show up, it's awkward, like we're strangers sharing pleasantries instead of father and son. One day, I find a note slipped under the door of the shop. It's from Ethan. I need time to figure things out, Dad. Please understand. Part of me wants to march over to Claire's apartment and demand answers, but I hold back, reminding myself that Ethan is no longer a child. He has to make his own mistakes, even if it breaks my heart to watch. A few months later, I run into Natalie Collins at the farmer's market. She's holding a stack of books, her cheeks flushed from the cold. Have you heard from Ethan? She asks hesitantly. I shake my head. Not lately. She bites her lip, clearly debating whether to say more. Finally, she blurts out, "He moved in with Claire, and, well, he doesn't seem happy." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I thank her and walk home in a daze, replaying her expression in my mind. That night, I call Ethan again, but it goes straight to voicemail. I imagine him sitting in Claire's sleek apartment, surrounded by designer furniture and empty promises. Is this what he traded our little bookstore for? I pour all my energy into renovating the cafe section of the bookstore. It's a distraction, sure, but also a way to honor Ethan's memory, even if he's forgotten about it. I hang framed photos of us together on the walls. Ethan as a toddler perched on my shoulders, Ethan graduating high school, Ethan sketching designs in the corner of the shop. Customers compliment the cozy atmosphere, unaware of the ache beneath my forced smiles. One evening, as I'm wiping down tables, I overhear two women whispering about how tragic it must be to lose touch with your child. My hands tremble, and I drop the rag. They apologize profusely, but their pity only makes it worse. I lock up early and sit in the dark, staring at the photo of Ethan and me fishing by the lake. Where did I go wrong? I whisper to no one. Then, out of the blue, Ethan shows up at the bookstore. He looks exhausted, his hair unkempt and dark circles under his eyes. "Hey, Dad," he says quietly, avoiding my gaze. We sit in silence for a while, sipping coffee I brewed fresh just for him. Eventually, he starts talking, not about Claire, not directly, but about feeling trapped, suffocated. "Every decision I make feels like it's being scrutinized," he admits. "And if I question anything, she flips out." His voice cracks, and I reach across the table to squeeze his hand. For the first time in months, I feel hopeful. Maybe he's starting to see the truth. Ethan mentions running into Natalie at a mutual friend's party. "She said she misses seeing you around," he tells me, almost shyly. I chuckle. Natalie was always good at calling people out when they needed it. He nods, looking thoughtful. Over the next few weeks, Natalie becomes a regular at the bookstore again. She brings Ethan updates discreetly, telling me how he's struggling, but slowly gaining confidence. "He needs you, James," she says firmly one day. "Don't give up on him." Her words reignite something in me, a determination to fight for my son, no matter what it takes. It's late when Ethan bursts into the bookstore, his face pale and his hands trembling. "Dad," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. I rush to him, my heart pounding. "What happened?" He collapses onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. Through broken sobs, he tells me about the fight, the worst one yet. Claire accused him of flirting with a co-worker, screamed at him for hours, and then threw a sketchbook across the room. "She said I'll never amount to anything without her," he chokes out. My blood boils, but I force myself to stay calm for his sake. "You don't deserve that, Ethan," I say firmly. No one deserves to be treated like that. For the first time, he doesn't argue. Instead, he looks at me with tear-filled eyes and whispers, "I think I made a mistake." That night, Ethan packs a bag and moves back into the attic. It's surreal having him home again, his laughter echoing to the halls, the smell of his cologne lingering in the air. But there's a heaviness, too, a tension neither of us knows how to address. He spends hours poring over his old sketches, lost in thought. One evening, I find him sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by crumpled papers. "I forgot how much I love designing," he says softly. "Claire always said it was a waste of time unless it made money." I sit beside him and place a hand on his shoulder. "Your art isn't defined by what she thinks." I tell him, "It's yours, and it's beautiful." He smiles faintly, and for the first time in months, I see a glimmer of the sun I raised. Ethan throws himself into his work, spending long nights drafting blueprints and sketching ideas. The attic transforms into a studio once more, filled with light from the small window and the sound of pencils scratching against paper. I bring him coffee and snacks, silently cheering him on. One day, he shows me a design for a community center, a space inspired by our bookstore, where people can gather, create, and heal. "This is incredible, Ethan," I say, my voice thick with emotion. "You've always had this gift. Don't let anyone take it away from you." He nods, determination flickering in his eyes. Slowly but surely, He's rediscovering who he is outside of Claire's shadow. Just as things start to feel normal again, Claire shows up unannounced at the bookstore. She strides in like she owns the place, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. "We need to talk," she announces, ignoring the customers browsing nearby. I step forward, ready to intervene, but Ethan holds up a hand. "Not here," he says firmly. They retreat to the cafe section, their voices low but tense. I pretend to busy myself restocking shelves, but I catch snippets of their conversation. "You're throwing away everything we built together," Claire hisses. Ethan's response is calm but resolute. "You were the one to tear it apart." When she storms out moments later, slamming the door behind her, I exhale a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. A week later, I receive a letter from Claire's lawyer. She's suing me for alienation of affection, claiming I manipulated Ethan into leaving her. My stomach churns as I read the accusations that I poisoned Ethan's mind, sabotaged their relationship, ruined her life. The media picks up the story, painting me as some bitter old man clinging to the sun. Strangers glare at me in the grocery store. Online commenters call me controlling and selfish. Ethan finds me sitting in the dark one night, the letter clutched in my hands. "Don't listen to them," he says fiercely. "You didn't do anything wrong." His unwavering support gives me strength, but the weight of the lawsuit looms heavy over us both. The trial is a circus. Reporters camp outside the courthouse, cameras flashing as we walk in. Claire sits smugly beside her lawyer, while Ethan and I take our places on the other side. When Ethan takes a stand, the room falls silent. He speaks clearly and confidently, recounting every lie Claire told, every manipulation she used to control him. "My dad didn't drive me away from her," he says, his voice steady. "She drove me away from myself." The judge rules in our favor, dismissing the case entirely. As we leave the courthouse, Ethan wraps an arm around my shoulders. "We did it," he says, and for the first time in years, I believe him. After the trial, Ethan and I commit to rebuilding our relationship, not just as father and son, but as partners navigating life's challenges. We start attending therapy sessions together, learning to communicate openly and trust each other again. It's not easy. There are days when old wounds resurface, when guilt or resentment threatens to creep in, but we push through, determined to move forward. One evening, as we sit side by side on the couch watching an old movie, Ethan leans his head on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, Dad," he murmurs, "for everything." I ruffle his hair, just like I used to when he was a kid. "Me too, kiddo. But we're okay now." Ethan's architectural project gains traction after he submits it to a local competition. To our amazement, he wins first prize, earning recognition from industry professionals and securing funding to bring his vision to life. The community center becomes a reality, housed right next to the bookstore. On opening day, Ethan stands proudly beside me, beaming as townsfolk explore the space he designed. "This is all you, buddy," I tell him. He shakes his head. "No, it's us. You gave me the foundation I needed to build something meaningful." His words fill me with pride and gratitude for the second chance we've been given. Natalie continues to play a vital role in our lives, though not in the way I initially expected. She and Ethan grow closer, bonding over shared experiences and mutual respect. One evening, she pulls me aside after closing up the cafe. "You know, James," she says with a smile, "you've done an amazing job raising him. He's going to change the world." Her kindness catches me off guard, and I blink back tears. "Thank you," I manage to say. Later, as I watch Ethan and Natalie laughing together, I realize she's become part of our family, not as a romantic interest, but as a steadfast friend who helped guide us through the storm. Inspired by Ethan's success, I decide to expand the bookstore's mission. What started as a humble shop evolves into a sanctuary for men recovering from toxic relationships. We host workshops, support groups, and creative classes, offering a safe space for healing and growth. The response is overwhelming. Men from all walks of life pour in, sharing their stories and finding solace in the community we built. Watching them reminds me of my own journey, the pain, the struggle, and ultimately, the redemption. Ethan helps me design the layout, incorporating elements that reflect our shared values: resilience, hope, and connection. Years pass, and the bookstore becomes a cornerstone of our town. Ethan travels the world, designing projects that inspire and uplift communities. Yet no matter where he goes, he always returns home, to me, to Natalie, to the life we built together. On the grand opening of a new wing dedicated to young artists, Ethan stands beside me, holding a framed photo of the two of us fishing by the lake. "To Dad," he says, raising glass, "for teaching me that love means letting go so I could find myself." The crowd cheers, and I pull him into a tight hug. In that moment, I know we created something truly special. As I sit alone in the bookstore one quiet evening, I reflect on everything we've been through. Losing Ethan felt like losing a part of myself, but fighting for him taught me the true meaning of unconditional love. It wasn't about control or possession. It was about giving him the tools to stand on his own, even if it meant standing apart from me for a while. Looking around at the photos on the walls, the books lining the shelves, and the laughter echoing to the cafe, I feel immense gratitude. Life has a funny way of testing you, but it also gives you opportunities to grow stronger, together. Ethan publishes a book chronicling his journey, titled Blueprints of Resilience. Inside the cover, he includes a dedication that brings tears to my eyes. "To my dad, the man who showed me that home isn't a place, it's a person. Thank you for being my anchor, my compass, and my greatest supporter." I keep the book on the counter, where customers often pick it up and ask about the story behind it. Each time I smile and say, it's about family, about finding your way back to what matters most. On the anniversary of the bookstore's expansion, we take a family photo outside. Ethan stands tall beside me, Natalie grinning widely next to him. As the camera clicks, capturing our joy, I glance at the empty space where Claire might have stood if she'd chosen differently. But her absence doesn't haunt us anymore. Instead, it serves as a reminder of how far we've come. Some people leave permanent voids not because they're missed, but because they never truly belonged. And sometimes those voids make room for something better, for love, for growth, for family.